Hi guys, a pleasant morning. Once again, welcome back to my session. As I said, today we are going to discuss about a poem. Unit 2 prose we have discussed in the last part. So in today's session, we will be discussing about a poem. The title of the poem is Geography Lesson. The poet is Zulfikar Ghosh. So, before we enter into the poem, let's know about the author. Zulfikar Ghosh, 1935 to 2009. Now he is no more. So, Zulfikar Ghosh is a novelist, poet, and a essayist. He was born on 13th March in 1935 in Sialkot, that is located in Pakistan. After that, he became a resident of Texas, US, where he became a citizen in 2004. So he displays a fusion of harsh reality and some magical moments. So his first novel is Contradictions in 1966. So it explores difference between Western and Eastern attitude and ways of life. So in his poem Geography Lesson, the poet reflected several things: a picture of a city, a logic of a geography, and also about humans' narrow mindedness. Now, tell me, students, have you ever imagined how your city would look like if you see that from 10,000 feet above from the ground? That is exactly while you're traveling in the plane. Now, just imagine the author is sitting there in the plane, that too in the window seat. Now, he is all set to travel in the plane. So, while traveling in the plane, he is just looking down. So, how the city is. So, how the place where he used to live, how it is looking. So, his own views we are going to see as this poem, the geography lesson. So, the poet Zulfikar Ghosh has written the poem in a very simple language, simple words to understand. But now, let me summarize each and every paragraph to you so that you understand the theme of the poem. Come, let's move on to the poem. The first paragraph. When the jet sprang into the sky, it was clear why the city had developed the way it had. Seeing it scaled 6 inches to the mile, there seemed an inevitability about what on ground had looked haphazard, unplanned, and without style when the jet sprang into the sky. So, this is the first para. The author is just explaining his own views. Now, the jet sprang into the sky. So, for him, it was clear why the city had developed in its own way. So, for him, he is seeing it from the top of the sky. For him, it seems 1 mile to 6 inches. So, this is what he calculated. So, there seemed an inevitability. What does it mean by inevitability? The view that cannot be avoided. Okay, so after that, above and ground looked like a haphazard. What does it mean by haphazard? It is unplanned and it is no style at all. As it was there. So that is what the author is trying to say. When a jet sprang into the sky, this was the view of the city. Okay, let's move on to the next paragraph. When the jet reached 10,000 feet, it was clear why country had cities where the rivers ran and why the valleys were populated. The logic of geography, that land and water attracted man, was clearly delineated when the jet reached 10,000 feet. Now, what the author is trying to say is, this paragraph, he is admiring the beauty of earth in the sense that the human had populated the areas in the rivers and valleys, had been so thickly populated when compared to others. Now he could understand why and what was the reason for this. Thus, the logic of geography says that land and water had attracted man towards it, which means right from the ancient times, from the time when civilization started, people started to settle down at the areas where there was a river flowing, and because of the trade as well as because of the agriculture to grow crops and to grow food. So, the motivational factor had inspired the humans to settle down at particular areas like the rivers and valleys. Now, coming back to the poem, the plane was about 10,000 feet higher. The author understood that why the logic of geography was displayed there. And I hope you got it right. Now let's move on to the next one. When the jet rose 6 miles high, it was clear that the earth was round and it had more sea than land. But it was difficult to understand that the men on the earth found cash to hate each other, to build wall across city and to kill. From that height it was not clear. So what is saying in the last paragraph? When the jet rose 6 miles high, it was clear that the earth was round and that was surrounded by water. When he looked higher, he understood logic of geography that the water is essential source of life. So in the last paragraph, the poet is expressing his worry. He says that he can understand the logic of geography. He can understand the earth is round. He can understand why the cities are planned the way they are, but there is one thing that he cannot understand, and that is, why do humans hate each other? The human who have inhabited in this planet Earth, which is so beautiful, which is so lovely, why human on this planet kill each other? Why do hate each other? Why there are boundaries between the states and the countries? Why there is a war among this mankind? So this he couldn't understand. That is what he is saying. So what is the theme of the poem? It's not just about the description of a journey by the poet. The underlying theme is the entire mindset of humankind. When it looks at the world, when you are in a particular situation, you will look at that situation from your point of view. It is one-sided, that is perspective. So you will understand the situation, what comes to your mind first. Am I right? But if you rise a little higher, if you look at the situation from the different perspective and look out all the pros and cons of a situation, your thinking will become broad. You will have a lateral thinking, and this is what poet is trying to tell. As long as he was in the city, he found fault in everything. Once he was in the sky, looking at the same city, in his point of view was different. So the poet tells us to come out of that narrow mindedness and adopt an open minded attitude towards the entire mankind. So, this is the exact meaning of the poem. I hope you understood it well. Now, let us see the hard words which we discussed in this poem. So, the hard words are inevitable, that is, that cannot be avoided, haphazard, without plan or order, and then third one is delineated, that is show, and then the poetic devices used in this poem, that is imagery and alliteration. This is what we have used in this poem. So example of imagery, so wall symbolizes borders and city symbolizes countries. So this is what imagery is. And then examples for alliteration. Alliteration we have seen in the last poem, I think so. Alliteration is nothing but a words which have a same sound. So see here, sprang into the sky sound. It scaled 6 inches. Why the valley were X. So like this, the words which have same sound is known as alliteration. And I hope so now you all are clear in this poem. So I will tell you what you have to write in the homework note. So for this poem, you have to frame your own 1-mark questions with answers, and you have to write it in your homework note. That is 120 pages. So write it well. So now in the textbooks, page number 35, you have a working with poem, a book back exercise. That is, you have 4 questions. So find 3 or 4 phrases in stanza 1 and 2 which are likely to occur in a geography lesson. So the answer for this question is scaled 6 inches to the mile, valleys were populated, land and water attracted men. So this is the correct answer. You have to write this question in the classwork note. Now see the second one. Seen from the window of an aeroplane, the city appears as haphazard as on ground, as neat as map, as developed as necessary. What is the answer? The answer is as developed as necessary. Now let us move on to the third one. Which of the following statement are example of logic of geography? Understand the question well. What are the following statements or example of logic of geography? So here they have given 5 options. So in this first statement, third statement and fourth statement, all these 3 are correct. Other second and fifth you need not want to add it. So the answers are first one, third one and fourth one. So these 3 are the correct option. That is the logic of geography. Now let's move on to the fourth one. Mention 2 things that are clear from the height and not clear from the height. So first question answer is, it was clear that the earth is round and it has more sea than land. So it is clear from the height. Now what is not clear from the height? So it is not clear that why men hate each other and build wall across the cities. So it was not clear. Now let me tell you what you have to write it in the classwork. You have to write first question and fourth question alone in classwork. Second and third question, you can just mark the answers in the book even. No need to write it in the classwork at all. Remember, whenever you write in classwork, write it neatly and write unit number, title and everything. Mention the date also. I hope you are writing it properly. So you have an online English test on this Wednesday. Prepare well for it and do it well. And my next session will be on grammar, topic subject verb agreement. So be ready with your grammar book. So until then, bye, take care. Thank you.